Hello everyone, and welcome to another Let's Play Dwarf Fortress Tradeancient. I am Nerdstalgic. So, in our last video, at the end of the video, we found that our Dwarven civilization, as we had been warned, apparently died out. So now our king lives here, and he has a whole whack of pretty wild demands that we're going to have to try to meet. Well, not really demands, because there's something else that technically is demands, but basically requirements. And if we don't meet those requirements, his mood will be affected. And yeah, we probably want to take steps to make sure that those are met. Alright, so it is, excuse me, it is the start of spring in our second year here. So, probably I guess what we're going to do is we are going to try to work on getting his demands met immediately. So as a king, he is demanding, so if we go into the noble screen by hitting N, and you can see require, requires, it'll tell you in under holdings what he currently has and what he needs. So he needs a royal throne room, a royal bedroom, a royal dining room, a royal mausoleum, 10 chests, 5 cabinets, 5 weapon racks, and 5 armor stands. Not that much, right? So, the way that we're going to attempt to get it there is through probably making golden statues and like golden chests and things like that. So, which means we need to get started on smelting. So we're probably out of lignite at this point. We need to get started smelting this native gold ore. And then once we get some of that smelted, we can start making those statues. In the meantime, we can designate some rooms to be dug out for living. Now, it's pretty important that we don't go this direction, because if we go this direction, we'll be digging into a sand layer, and we would be unable to smooth the floors or the walls until we replace them with newly built stuff. So we're going to go this way, and the way that we're going to handle this is we're going to add a hall here, and what we can do is we can kind of just turn this whole hallway into sort of a noble's annex. So we will, let's see, let's come down here. We're going to put a doorway right there, and then we will make this room, what's that, 7? Let's go 7 by 10. And again, we'll go 7 by 10. We'll put a little adjoining set of doorways here, and then back here we'll go like just like so. And the idea being one of these will be the dining room, one of these will be the throne room, and one of them, the back one, will be the bedroom. So one of the ways to make a room be seen as more valuable or better is to simply enlarge the room and then give them ownership over it, and that will raise the standing of the room in their eyes. So we'll let that get dug out first, and then we'll have to set up a mausoleum, which is basically just a personalized tomb for that person. Alright, so we're okay still on beds and stuff. It looks like we're getting pretty low on drink. Let's look at our stocks screen here. We've still got 501. Some plants that we could definitely brew. What are we on? Seeds. Plenty of plump helmet spawn. Are we still making it? Nah, it looks like we probably ran out of pots. So let's check our Craftsdwarf's workshop. Rock pot, huh? Rock pot. Let's see the workshop profile. So it says there's 13 rock pots, so I'm not really sure why it suspended the production of this. So let's go ahead and unsuspend it by hitting S. Is this suspended as well? It is indeed suspended. So how much food do we have? Lots of prepared meals. I'm not so worried about that. I just don't want the drink to run out. Okay, so it looks like he is getting back to work, which is good. Just, it might have been a situation where the pots, the crafter, the workshop was busy making bolts whenever he needed the pots, and what happened was because there weren't any pots to put anything in, he went ahead and just didn't make anything. So okay, looks like, what's going on here? Fishery. Looks like he's making a raw fish, or preparing a raw fish, which is good. We did know that coming into this spot that it was going to have some very nice availability for fish. Okay, looks like we still need a bunch of tables and chairs. Did we enable workshop flow production for those? If we did not, it needs to be something that happens. We didn't. So let's go ahead and set up some workflow constraints for thrones. So we'll get that going. Chair of rock, 5 to 10 seems fine because we'll be using a lot of them. We'll also need some coffins. Probably not 5 to 10 though. Probably more like 2 to 4. Maybe even just 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. Let's see. 1 to 3. Yeah. And then doors, same thing. 5 to 10's fine. What else? Cabinets and coffers are also good to have, but probably not in as great of number as the other ones. We'll basically only be using cabinets and coffers for nobles' rooms, but not for our king's room, because if we use stone stuff, he's going to turn up his nose at it. The farmer that was a king, or the king that was a farmer, I guess. 1 to 3. Statues are always good to have because you can like put them at regular intervals where dwarves walk around a lot and they'll get a happy thought off of it. Oops, that's not what I wanted. So we'll get rid of that. And 5 to 10 seems a bit much. Let's do 2 to 4. Our mason is going to probably be a very, very busy person. Tables, we'll just stick with 5 to 10. That seems fine. Weapon racks, I usually like to keep 1 or 2 of those around. But 5 to 10 is completely unnecessary. Really, you only use them as sometimes decoration, but usually you just use them in barracks. Armor stand. So much so that really, if you didn't want to set a workflow constraint for these, it's really not a big deal. Okay, so now he should be very, very busy for a while. How's our mugs going? They're still going. Still cutting some jewels, that's good. Alright. Looks like we've only got 1 person working on the mining right now, so it's going pretty slowly. That's okay. I'd really like to get that migration wave in, because that'll really help us speed up the process of smoothing things. Right now everybody's staying pretty busy with what we've got them working on. I imagine a lot of people are still probably working on this this wall up here, which isn't even done yet. Let's see what people are working on. We got 3 people digging, 4 people digging, okay. We got somebody brewing. A lot of people are storing things. This guy's smelting, good. Cutting, making rock, mugs, fishing. Somebody's butchering an animal. Hunting. Okay. Planting smelting seeds. So everybody's staying pretty busy. Now if I turn, right now auto labor is on. If I turned off auto labor, I could have a little bit more control over what everybody was doing, and I could focus things a little bit better than what, well, this is interesting. An elven caravan has arrived. I thought we were at war with the elves. It's with civilizations. Nope, we're not at war anymore. Huh. Strange. Interesting, interesting. Okay, so we're not at war with the elves anymore, so we will be getting caravans from them. So what you want to do whenever you have a caravan coming in is you go back to your trade depot, click on it. I usually try to click in the corner, because if you try to click here after the goods are unloaded, you're gonna have to click through a few times, and then you want to hit R to request a trader at the depot. And then little G will bring up all of your goods. And normally what I like to do is I like to just hit S for select, and then you type in what you want to bring. So for us it's going to be finished goods. Remember, we have a lot of mugs, and then you're going to bring all of those, and then hit S again, because we also should have gems. And as you can see, we have some gem bins here, and they'll all get brought. Now, something to keep in mind when you're trading with the elves is that elves, you know, as most elves do, venerate the forest. So if you're fond of storing your items in wooden bins, which I don't, well, there went my PlayStation controller. Sorry about that. Oh my goodness, it's in the floor. Anyways, as I was saying, if you're fond of putting your items into the bins, wooden bins, then you cannot trade them the bin, or they will get extremely pissed off. So you have to sell everything piece by piece with them, which can be a bit of a headache. And they're there. Boy, they really tanked our FPS, didn't they? Alright. How's our digging going here? Well, it's going. Not going too well, but it's going. Alright, so our king has already mandated something. Let's see what he's mandating. He is mandating animal traps, 3 out of 3. So what we will do is we'll go into our manager screen, we'll queue a new order for trap. And what can we make it out of? Can we make it out of wood? That would be best. Yeah, wooden. So we'll make 3 wooden animal traps, and we'll want to keep an eye on it, just because sometimes these work orders, they don't get approved for some reason, and if this doesn't get done in a reasonable amount of time, then what can happen is the king will get angry and he will punish somebody, and it can be somebody that's not even involved in it. Usually it's a person who has the skill necessary to make it. So in this case it might be like a carpenter, and what will happen is your hammerer, which is basically your dwarven sheriff, or if you're advanced enough to have a captain of the guard, they could also do it if you don't have a hammer. They'll basically go and they'll administer a beating to the dwarf that has offended the king. And so if you do have a hammer, you want to make sure that it's somebody who is extremely weak and is not in your military. Big thing there. Don't make sure it's not somebody in your military. So, you know, just pick somebody looking like Dwarf Therapist, find somebody that's not very strong, because then when they go beat them, it won't kill them. I've had it before where my captain of the guard went to administer justice to somebody and just straight up killed them. So you want to avoid that. Alright, so giving them a few seconds or minutes to get set up. They're probably ready. Our broker is here, so let's see if they're ready to trade. And indeed they are. Alright, so he says, "Greetings, we are enchanted by your more ethical works," meaning nothing made out of wood. So if we look here, let's hit Shift Enter. just to see how much dwarf bucks we have to play with. About 26 thou, which is a really good amount. Elven caravans don't typically bring a whole lot of stuff with them, so they can be helpful whenever you don't have a lot of wood around, because they from time to time will bring quite a bit of wood with them, but I'm not sure if they brought any. So they bring a bunch of this stuff, like, you know, looks like a giant tapir, which could be kind of cool. See if we view it. Stray giant tapir. So it's probably some kind of a bird or something. I don't know. I'm not familiar with what a tapir is. But usually the giant things that are in cages, you can put them in like a dining hall, and the dwarves will get a nice happy thought out of it. As you can see, they didn't bring hardly anything. So we can get their food, which I'm fine with. Other than that, we're probably not going to buy anything from them. But we'll still send them away probably with a pretty good profit, because that will affect how big their next caravan will be. And we do want them to bring good stuff. So we'll probably send them away with a few thousand dwarf bucks worth of profits. Simply because we've got quite a bit of goods floating around, so I don't really see any problem with it. We'll just go ahead and finish out this bin. So send them away with a lot of profit. They'll be ecstatic with the trading, I'm sure. Hit T. Yeah, he's very happy. So not ecstatic, but pretty happy. And then it automatically takes you back to the trade depot screen. So you just hit R, and now the trader is free to go about their business. And you hit G again, and then Shift Enter, and it will move everything. So, you know, back in earlier versions, you could actually dismiss the caravan, which I kind of like, because the caravan is such an FPS hog. But apparently, either I'm missing that now, or it's not a thing. So back to making bolts, huh? Good, we're smelting some ore here. Smelting some ore. How much do we have so far? How much do we have? So you're looking for bars. So we've got 28 gold bars already, and that's probably enough to, it's definitely enough to start making some statues. So, and that will be done by a metalsmith here at the Metalsmith's Forge. Alright, so I'm not actually sure if we have a metalsmith. Let's pause the game and bring up Dwarf Therapist real quick here. Okay, there we go. I think it worked that time. Nice. Okay, now it's covering the screen. That's what I want. So if we read our dwarves, do we have a metalsmith, a metal crafter? We have this guy who's a novice. So he's not really going to make very good statues. It might be worth waiting until our first arrival of migrants, just to see if somebody comes in. And that would be pretty, I'd be pretty keen on that, just because if we're trying to make these statues to greatly improve the value of a room for a king, we don't really just want to burn through our gold. I mean, gold is definitely worth a good deal. Here you can see we have a diamond in this leather working box here, and that, remember, this is the guy who made that shield. And you can even see it says, had a mood with this skill and crafted this subtle creed. So it tells you why they have such a good good score in that. And that's really helpful, because this guy will make very good leather armor for our archers. And he'll be able to turn it out pretty quickly. Alright, so how is this going here? Well, going alright. We're not going to dig out these veins, because whenever we engrave these walls, those stones will go into the value of the wall. which will be really good for adding value to his bedroom. He'll really enjoy that. Alright, so the caravan's still up here. That's fine. How's our wall coming? Slowly. Slowly coming along. It's just, what this is, it's just a sign that we have a lot of things going on right now. We really do need that migrant wave. We need a big one. Like, I would love to have a nice sized migrant wave of about 20. If we could get about 20 in here, things would start going a lot quicker for us. Because we're not hurting on food, we're not hurting on drink, we're not hurting on bedrooms, we have plenty of capacity. So we need that good sized migrant wave. And I imagine we will get a pretty good sized migrant wave, because I think it's tied to how prosperous your civilization's actually doing, and really we're doing pretty well. And if you go to the stock screen, you can see our created wealth is almost 100,000 dwarf bucks. So that's not too bad at all. Okay, so our stonecrafter has been possessed, which means, well, I don't know what he's gonna make, but hopefully we have the materials for it. Okay, so he's claimed it, and he's begun his construction already, so that's good. That's good. The worst ones are always, for me, are always the ones where they need leather or they want bones. Are always the worst, because you end up having to slaughter animals that you don't necessarily want to slaughter. So the king is still working, which I find interesting. I really thought that the king, whenever they became a king, got a tag on them that basically said no more work, but I guess I'm wrong. I don't really want to set anything else into motion right now, because our people are so busy. I mean, you can tell we're not really running a lot of idlers, so that means that we're kind of running at capacity at this point. We have a lot of people that are flitting around, moving stuff back and forth, so there probably is some inefficiency there. Okay, so he made a Gabbro trumpet, which currently in the game is pretty useless. I think Toady has some plans to introduce some neat stuff with inns and things like that in your fortress, but as it is now, it basically just boosts his stonecrafting up to legendary if it wasn't already. So we can bring up, we can pause our game and bring up Dwarf Therapist again, and you can see now he is he's a legendary +5 stonecrafter. Was that the guy who did it? Huh, I don't know. I thought so. He might have already been legendary. No? Okay, so this is the guy that actually got the mood. So it wasn't even our legendary one. So maybe with Possessed, you don't actually get the buff like that. I know with some of the moods, you don't actually get the accompanying increase in skill. Alright, so we've got some migrants. Let's see how many we pick up. They're right on time. You can see them coming in from the corner down there. Looks like a few for sure. We want to get their animals situated as soon as they're all here. Probably at least 10 so far. Still coming. Still coming. Still coming. Good. So we wanted a big wave, and it looks like we got a nice sized wave. Okay, that appears to be all. Alright, so if we go to our zones here. Some interesting looking leaves. Looks like ore. If we go to our zones here, we go over to our pasture, and we hit N for pasture information, and then capital G. We can see we have some things that are pasture dwellers that need to be put here. So we have a cavy pup. It's a guinea pig, for all of you who don't know what a cavy is. Water buffalo calf, horse foals, and a reindeer calf. So, good stuff. And if we, wow, look at the flicker. If we pause our game and pull up, oops, it was already paused. Pull up Therapist, we can read our dwarves and see how many we got. So we got 22, which is just what I was wanting. And if we look at our squares here, we can tell what we have. So looks like we got another person with some masonry. That's always helpful. Engraver, all right. A soaper, not very helpful at this point. A High Master Fish Dwarf, which is actually good for our current location. Did we get a Metal Crafter? No, we didn't. We did get an Accomplished Armor Smith, which is never a bad thing to have around. And so he's actually better than this guy, but that's good because this guy is our Mega Stone Crafter, so that'll let us focus him there. Shearer. What about military? So we got some people with some military skill here. What about, do we have any archers? We do. We have one archer as a novice archer. This guy is an adequate axe dwarf. I would really like to make a melee militia first, but with the lack of metal, we may have to end up going with an archer group first. So we'll see about that. Alright, so with that being said, I think this is a pretty decent place to put a cut in. And in our next video, we will continue trying to make some living quarters for our recently appointed king. And we're also going to, excuse me, we're also going to look at probably getting a barracks set up with some archery targets and set up our first militia. Just because we do have invasions on, I believe, and you never know when something's going to happen. Lots of fun. Alright, so thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.